And then I just stop suddenly and I point outside the door and I go, "Mommy, who's that man?"
And then I turned back. The camera battery that I put on the Pelican case was gone.
You look at them and you think to yourself, like, this is what unites us.
Hello, Kyle. I mean, welcome to OpenHaus, to our Halloween special.
Very creepy.
Very
Yeah,
creepy,
quite creepy
spooky
lah.
enough for y'all lah. Okay.
Can not bad.
All right, now we'll start off a little bit just about your backgrounds. We know ghost maps, of course, everyone's familiar with it. Dead air for sure. But I wanted to just start a little bit about your background. So Wayne, maybe you can start first. As a writer, how does that, help with your storytelling?
Can I just steal a joke that
Yes.
Idris Elba made? What's my background? Grey curtain. I've been waiting to make that joke for the longest time. I've been a writer, not professionally, but I've wanted to be a writer since I was 9. I've wanted to write all kinds of speculative fiction. So I started out wanting to just do sci-fi. But one fateful day at a friend's birthday party, I met this guy. From there, we got along like a house on fire.
Never looked back.
No, we never looked back. And, during this time, I started becoming a published writer. I've written a couple of books. Eventually, it led us, let you handle the details, but eventually it led us down the path to do ghost maps. And from ghost maps, everything spun out from there.
Blew up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am a filmmaker and now podcaster as well. Picking up what Wayne shared, we started off as friends, and he I think he published his first book in 2014, right?
Yeah, 2014.
The same year that we met, and we just started watching movies together as a clique. After watching movies, then naturally two creatives, right? Then we will gather everybody down, sit down at the mamak, and then just talk about the movie. Then only until like 2017, 2018, we started talking about seriously working together.
Yeah.
We tried a few different projects like I think the 24-hour comic book day.
Yes.
Eventually, we were like, hey, actually, the horror movies that we grew up with, maybe we can like try to make them, in Southeast Asian context. It's more of me, because before that, he's not really a horror guy.
Converted you.
I'll get to why I wasn't a horror guy.
You'll get into it. By 2019, I was consuming a lot of podcasts at that point. Mainly horror podcasts from America. I realized that there was a gap in Southeast Asia's market where there is a lot of horror podcasts, but not in English for some reason.
Narrative.
Of course, narrative,
Yeah.
narrative horror. Then I decided that, okay, now that we have this idea that we want to do a TV show, right? Maybe we can do it as a podcast. Sorry, I need to jump back to the TV show. So when we wanted to work together, we actually had an idea for full narrative horror TV show with about 8 to 10 episodes. So that was the precursor to Ghost Maps. And we actually had like stories fleshed out with another collaborator that we worked with. So the three of us wanted to make this show together. I used whatever professional networks that I have at that point, and I went around and asked a lot of producers and talked to a lot of networks. They were intrigued by the idea, but they were not convinced because I have not made any TV show at that point,
Right.
and I was very new. So we scrapped that idea, and then we sat on it for like 1 to 2 years. Then that's when, in 2019, I had this like podcast obsession, and then I went when to Wayne was like, hey Wayne, if we take this idea and then we do them as podcasts, because podcast is relatively cheaper to produce without video lah. What do you think? Then he's like, okay, let's try. So we casted a friend who's an actor that I worked with, and then he gave us like a test read, and then he loved it.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it, and then we published our first episode in late 2019, and then unfortunately in 2020 the pandemic happened. Naturally, people listen to ghost stories when they are stuck at home, and then we
Nothing
kind
to
of blew
do.
up from there.
Yeah.
And then
It's
then
amazing,
that's
like the trajectory that you've seen.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything to
Oh,
it?
yeah. So just to circle back to how I wasn't a horror guy before. The reason for that is my first horror movie, my brother, he tricked me into watching The Exorcist. He told me it was like The Terminator. And I believed him because I was 6 at the time. About halfway through the movie, I started to realize there are no robots in this. And in all fairness, I still very much love that movie. So when going back to when Carl said, let's do podcasts, both of us grew up in an era where there's this oral tradition of telling ghost
Right.
stories. Everybody has those older siblings or that one very irresponsible uncle who will tell
Ghost stories.
yeah, we'll tell other people the ghost stories and freak everybody out.
Yeah.
But we wanted to at least add our voices to that tapestry. And we figured, it's still that same oral tradition. The way we tell it, it's very specifically Southeast Asian. As in the way all of us tell these stories is very specifically Southeast Asian. And we wanted to bring that to the world
Yeah.
and let everybody see, how rich that part of our culture is here.
Now,
Yeah.
if I were to ask you both, right, what draws? I mean, clearly you love horror, but but you are a recent convert. So, what actually draws you to it?
I cannot really explain why I love horror, but I can explain the feeling that I get from consuming horror. It started off when I was very young, in primary school. I think I just picked up True Singapore Ghost Stories. Shout out to Russell Lee.
I love
This particular memory will stick to me till the day I die. It was raining very heavily and it was in between classes. Everybody went out to, play or go and eat or something. I just stayed in the room and then just read a few stories, and it really gave me that spooky feeling. Like, oh my God, you're alone in this classroom and then you're reading and then it's raining. But it also gave me the feeling of like a sense of like coziness. I get that feeling when I consume horror podcasts, specifically horror podcasts and horror books. Movies sometimes, but it depends on the level of gore. So yeah, so that's how I feel.
I think for me, it's such a visceral emotion you get from horror. Like I remember it just going back to watching The Exorcist. When you're a kid, you grow up, you watch Star Wars, you watch
Right.
Superman, stuff like that. And you get excited over those movies. There's that thrill, there's a spectacle. I think The Exorcist was the first time where that feeling ran so deeply because that feeling is so strong. Fear tends to branch out into all these other kind of emotions. And I noticed this ever since I started writing horror. I noticed that it is, weirdly enough, one of the genres that really brings people together, especially here in Southeast Asia. I think because it is so much part of our culture, yes, the fear is what brings people together first. That aspect of our culture kind of keeps people together. So for me, it's that. It's how strong that emotion is. I think that's what draws me towards horror.
Right.
I think it's also true for a lot of horror as well. What I love about watching horror films, and I first noticed this with The Exorcist, every time you watch it, it's a different experience. And that's what I love about it. For The Exorcist in particular, because there was such a huge gap from the first time I watched it to the next time I watched it, I looked at it and I realized, it's so different for me now. But every subsequent viewing of it, I realized I take something different away from it. And it's true for a lot of horror films and a lot of horror stories as well. The other one that I really, really love is, and I know he'll agree with me with this, is Shutter. It's one of those movies where that one's the most obvious.
Freaks you out.
It freaks you out, but it's the most obvious in terms of your first viewing and the next viewing. Because you watch the first time and, the first time you don't see the twist coming. You're just there to get scared. And then next time you watch it with different eyes. As you grow as a person, you take away different things from that film. And that's what I love about very well done horror. It's that at different points of your life, it can mean very different things to you.
Off camera, we were talking about whether you're a skeptic
Yeah.
or whether you're a believer. So maybe you want to touch in a little bit about that. So, you want to go first?
I can go first.
Ah.
The marketing savvy answer that we always give is that it doesn't really matter whether I'm a skeptic or a believer, because what we do is tell stories. What's more important is what people take out of those stories themselves.
Yeah, I'm a believer.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen stuff that cannot be explained. I've seen and heard stuff, especially because of my job, production. Telling stories for a living, you get to live a lot of different lives. I do documentaries, so I go to places that sometimes normal people don't have access to. Weird things do happen. And then you can't explain it with science sometimes. Really, you can't explain it. So I was working on this documentary about Qingming Festival. It's where you go and clean the tomb of your ancestors. Actually, three of my family members were buried there, so we wanted to capture that. And I was already doing HANTU. I was like maybe 1 or 2 years in. And at that point of time, I was quite a heavy atheist. I don't believe in that one. People around me told me that, hey Carl, you need to get permission. You want to film in the cemetery, you need to get permission. And we were going to the cemetery at 4 a.m. to document the process, like the entire exhumation. So we wanted to get a time lapse of the sun rising with the cemetery in view. So we went to the cemetery at about 4 a.m. with just one camera guy and myself. He parked the car on a hill overlooking the cemetery, and he went off like maybe 10 meters away from me to set up one camera, and I went off just right beside the car. We opened up the booth, we were assembling the camera, and then I set up the first camera, and then I turned back. The camera battery that I put on the Pelican case was gone.
But you clearly remember.
I clearly
placing it
remember.
there.
Then I asked him, "Hey bro, you touched the camera?" He said, "No, I'm all the way there." So I just left it as that, and then we continued our business, and we did the shots that we needed. And only when the sun rose, guess where I found the camera battery? Underneath the Pelican case. The Pelican case is about 5 kg heavy. Who could have lifted it
up?
and when you put it down, there's sound.
Correct.
So there were only the two of us. So what was it?
So if it's not you or your friend,
Yeah.
I have very few stories, and Kyle uses this term for me, and it's so accurate. I am blissfully ignorant of anything supernatural going on, and I like to keep it that way.
Yeah.
I say this on camera a lot, and I always make it clear to whomever, living or dead, might be watching and listening. This is not a challenge. When I say I'm
Don't
blissfully,
comment me.
yes, when I say I'm blissfully ignorant, I want to stay that way. I don't want to push the boundaries of this. I swear that knock on the door was
just no
Nice.
wonder they're all here.
okay. So when I was younger, my friends and I used to gather at this one guy's place. He lived in a condo, a very old condo. Like I think it hadn't been renovated since the 70s. Okay, I'll get on with it. The spirits are so restless today. So we would gather at this friend's place to watch football. And his living room.
He's somewhat upstairs.
Should I pause?
Yeah.
Is he
What's
somewhat
going on?
upstairs?
I swear, if I hear a blood-curdling scream right now.
No one here? Upstairs?
They're on the other side. They're on the phone.
I just made it very clear that I'm not challenging anyone.
Okay.
You guys did not script this,
no,
right?
No. Did y'all?
Wow.
I don't know. I'm oblivious to it. Fauzi? All right.
That makes it even better.
Okay.
Anyway, so this friend's condo, his living room, huge living room, where his television was in front of this wide window. And the window looks into the back, I guess the back area of the condo, which at night, there's no lights. So all you can see are the silhouettes of trees. So we're all watching football. And, you know, a group of teenagers. We take 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I don't have that many stories because the term that Carl uses to describe me it's a very accurate term, blissfully ignorant. This is not a challenge to anybody living or dead out there. I would like to stay blissfully ignorant. It's a great state to be in. But the stories I do have, one of them is actually very sentimental, oddly enough, very sweet. It happened to me when I was very young. I think I was probably 3 or 4. My family used to stay in a 2-bedroom flat. It was a very old flat, just 2 bedrooms side by side to each other. And on this particular evening, my dad had taken my elder brother and elder sister down for taekwondo. I think they were learning taekwondo. And so it's just me and my mum in the leftmost bedroom. And then I just stop suddenly and I point outside the door. Just at the wall that's dividing the 2 rooms. I point outside. And I go, "Mummy, who's that man?" Mum looks out. Of course, she doesn't see anyone. House is completely empty except for the 2 of us. I don't know what her game plan here was, but she thought to herself, okay, I'll just bring him to the other room. Still, I go, "Mummy, the man's still there." And my mum at this point in time is freaking out a little bit, but she's also somewhat level because I was raised in a Catholic household. So I think there was a crucifix on the wall. My mom was comforted a little and she thought to herself, whatever is there can't be anything malicious because it's standing right in front of a crucifix. You know, emboldened by this, my mom asked me, is the man angry or smiling? And I went, he's smiling. Both my grandfathers had passed away before I was born. Both my grandmothers passed away a little while after I was born. My mom's looking through photo albums and she stops at one page. And I can't remember whose grandfather it was, whose father it was, whether it was my mom's dad or my dad's father. But she flipped to a page and I went, Mommy, it's that man. The story is that I saw one of my grandfathers. And both my parents have told me that both their fathers really love the grandchildren. So whichever one it was,
Paid you a visit.
yeah, the theory is that he came to see who's the new grandchild.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have one story to add. It's from our cousin, like Ellen's cousin.
Oh, okay.
He was running on the track, Punggol Park. Yeah,
okay.
Right, he was running. They grew up in a Taoist household,
Right.
but he is raised an atheist. As he was running, he saw this lady sitting on the track. She's in white. As he was running towards her, he said that he was startled because she had hair at the front. So he ran past her and then he turned to look at her and he realized there's hair at the front as well. And she's just sitting there. So speaking of that, like, you know, as an agnostic, as an atheist, you know, and being in Asia, you know, there's so many like different cultural beliefs and religious beliefs that come into it. Does that make these stories richer, you feel?
Yeah, 100%. I think we always like to make fun, like say, Southeast Asian ghosts are the scariest. Because there's so many different cultures that blend together, right? And a lot of them, they are quite similar. So yeah, definitely. And we grew up listening to all these ghost stories so that we kind of have like a mental image of what it would look like and how the encounter will be like. Yeah.
Just the add on to what he was saying as well, I think, again, it all connects together because when I was writing my book, Work-Life Balance, we had just started working on ghost maps as well. And so I was doing a lot of research in terms of the kinds of creatures and spirits that we have all across Southeast Asia. And what I noticed is that there's so much similarities among the creatures and spirits across Southeast Asia. Like I always say, it's a weird sort of sentimentality I have towards these creatures and spirits. Like, yes, of course, there is that respect and that fear, but also, you know, you look at them and you think to yourself, like, this is what unites us. You know, I always say when you come to Southeast Asia, there's two things you can ask people. Do you have ghost stories? And they'll say yes. Do you have a favorite food? And then they'll start arguing with each other.
So right now is Halloween, right? So might as well just share a Halloween, a story that is related to Halloween. For some of you that know, Wayne and I, we co-host this show called Tales from Incredible Tales. On 31st of October, there will be one episode where we will be at Golden Mile Tower. So we actually did a Walk of Courage and actually things did happen. So Walk of Courage is basically a pair of creators. We go onto creepy locations and then we actually try to see what happens. There's a predetermined road. I actually experienced something that I cannot explain that is really weird. And the guy that I walked with, he's actually quite fearless, our co-host Far. So he does Malay channels, Malay radio channels, so he tells ghost stories every night.
Oh my.
So that's his thing. So he's even more on than us. So I walked with him. Initially it was okay. You know, we the task is we go up to a certain floor and then we walk. It's a very long corridor. Then there's like officers, right? Then we walk all the way down, then we walk back. Then for 3 floors, I will try that. Then we go back to our meeting point, which is at the car park. First 2 floors, I never really hear anything. But at the 3rd floor, towards the end, right, I heard footsteps behind us. And we were recording. So we walk. And I said, hey, Far, you wait. Then he looked at me, I looked at him. He's like, okay, I know why you asked me to stop. I know why.
He heard it.
He heard it, but we cannot acknowledge it. But we had to finish lah. So we just went. Then there's a end point where it's the trash point, right? Beside the trash point, there's like a washing area. So we had to go into the washing area. There's no light on. So we on the light, we go in and talk a bit. We have to walk back the direction where the sound came from. Then when we went back to where we began, we have to take the lift down, right? That was the longest lift wait in my life. It was so long. And then Far heard something. He said, hey, Kao, I heard something. There was a sound coming from the toilet. If I'm not wrong, it was like a groan. And then he's like, hey, Kao, you heard that? Yeah? He said, I'm going to go check it out. I was like, hey, no, bro, no. But he had the camera.
Brave.
So he left. Then I think he told me after the fact that he had a gut feeling not to go in the toilet. But he peeped into the corridor towards the male toilet. And then when he turned, like, he thought he saw something moved. Yeah, but that was really creepy.
And this is coming out as an episode.
Yeah, it will come out
31st October. But is there a line that you won't cross? Like, is there a particular story that is so creepy that you may not want to feature or topic?
Yes.
Particular urban legend?
Yes. I think we both agree that we will not do true crime. Personally, we feel that you are making money off someone's suffering. Then there are still surviving family members. I think it's quite tough. But for ghost stories, for me, there are certain stories that we cannot tell. It's either that there is something that is still going on. The spirit is either still around, they're not happy about it.
Right.
So we try to steer clear away from those.
No, actually, and there's another area that I think most Singaporean men or boys will know. National surveys, right? So we have one story that was shared by someone who served NS, right? So this is called the whistling at Pulau Tekong. It was during my recruit days in National Service, during a 5-day outfield exercise on Pulau Tekong. Around midnight, one of my section mates whispered that he couldn't hold it in anymore. Nature was calling. I tagged along with him to the field latrines. These weren't proper toilets, just makeshift cubicles patched together with tarpaulin, right? Out there in the middle of the forest, even a flimsy sheet of canvas felt like a wall between us and the dark. When we got there, he went into one cubicle and I took the one beside him. That's when the unease hit me. It started as a prickling at the back of my neck, that strange sensation you get when you're being watched. The night was so still that even the sound of my own breathing felt too loud. Goosebumps crept across my arms and the air inside the cubicle grew unbearably heavy, like I was no longer alone. I couldn't take it. I stepped outside, expecting maybe my friend would laugh and say I was imagining things. But he seemed perfectly normal. Then we both froze. From deep in the forest, we heard it. A whistle. At first it was faint, almost playful, but as the seconds dragged, the sound drew closer. Louder, sharper, like someone was whistling just out of sight, circling us. Then after a pause, another whistle cut through the air, this time right outside the latrines. We bolted. Boots pounding against the dirt, hearts hammering louder than our footsteps. Halfway back, my buddy stumbled and fell. I turned to hold him up, and that's when I saw it. Standing on top of the latrines, framed against the moonlight, was a figure. Tall, motionless, skin so white it almost glowed. It didn't move, it didn't chase us. It just watched. We ran harder than we had in any drill. That should have been the end of it. But the very next night, something else happened that made the whole thing altogether impossible to ignore. One of the other guys woke up in the middle of the night with bad diarrhea and just had to go. He slipped out alone and went behind a tree instead of the latrines. As he squatted, he felt an icy chill creep across his shoulders. The hair on his arms rose up and he refused to look back. He wanted to finish and go. Then, without warning, he felt a hand on his shoulder, cold with long nails. He yanked his pants up and ran shouting. Only when he finally dared to look back did he see the same pale, motionless figure we had seen the night before, standing near the latrines as if waiting. After that night, nobody ever used the field latrines ever again. Since then, I swore to myself never to set foot in the latrines after dark. So, I mean, I don't know. This is something that as girls we wouldn't understand, I guess. Is there something that you can relate to in this story?
I mean, toilets are just,
So what is this? Like, it's a tent, is it? Is it?
no, it's you dig it and then there's like
Yeah.
some barrier that they put. Yeah.
It's essentially a makeshift toilet.
Yeah,
basically.
it's a makeshift toilet, but imagine like alfresco lah. Like you're surrounded by trees lah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a fun experience at night lah. But a lot of the people, they just hold it in lah. They don't go at all. because Pulau Tekong used to be kampong, so there is actually graves. There are actually graves around the area that they conduct the training. There is certain beliefs that that the supernatural entities, they are sometimes they do feed on or are attracted to human bodily fluids. I'll leave it up to your imagination what it is lah.
Right,
But,
okay.
so like places like toilets, KTV, that kind of place, especially places that don't see much light.
Coming to the next question. Is there any place, like you see, right now we're in Bishan. And Bishan is used to be a cemetery, which I didn't know until I moved here. And one popular story that I always hear is this lady at the MRT station. Yeah.
There are photos of it apparently.
Right. Is there any place in Singapore that you would say is like the most haunted? I think maybe like
You're gonna get us cancelled, man.
There are no haunted places in Singapore.
so many.
Okay lah, but because this is not a government funded show, right?
Yes.
So we can say I mean, obviously we based on the amount of stories, based on the amount of like hearsay that we get from people around us, and I do have a lot of family that stays there. Yishun lah, I would say.
Oh my, Yishun.
But there was one particular listener that basically sent us a long message, long text. Say, hey, you all cannot like keep talking about Yishun like this, we keep getting make fun of by our friends because we stay in Yishun. They say it's the worst place in Singapore. It is not. Yishun is very lovely, but also Yishun is I don't know, the energy there is just different. Yeah, I'm not saying that people there are weird or anything. Just it's just creepy. I've stayed over in Yishun quite a few times. The vibes is different. Like it's creepier. But to stay there, I think different breed of Singaporeans. You're stronger. You guys are stronger. But honestly speaking, I think if you ask me, the most Keras place is definitely Changi lah.
I just learned this, and this particular priest who did this, my grandma passed last year. So for my technically for her, it takes a short period of time to reach my ancestors, right? My dead ancestors. But for us, it's 1 year. Like human realm is 1 year. So at the end of her, and that means within a year of the anniversary.
Right.
So in that 1 year, we are expected to, as grandchildren or children, to do things to send her off happily. And like what you mentioned earlier is where your grandfather came back to say hi. But even if they come back and visit you, it's not because they're angry. It's just they want to say hello.
So my sister, at that point she only had one daughter lah. So my niece, I think she was like at least 2 or 3 years old. We always have family gatherings at my parents' place, and then my parents' place they are religious, so they have a statue of Goddess of Mercy, Guan Yin, together with our ancestral tablet. My sister was like holding my niece, and then like we were just playing with her, and then she suddenly turned, looked at me. So my back was the ancestral tablet. I was just looking at her. Then we were just playing with her. And then she just looked at me, and then she started crying. She thought she saw something. Like, we thought she saw like behind me. Now I immediately turned. Then I was like, it's okay. It's your own own ancestors. They are just looking at you.
Is it because they are like, I don't know, the reason we hear is because they are innocent.
I think.
And then they show themselves to them.
The one I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that they are closer to the spirit world because they're just born.
Yep. And innocence. I think both. Yeah. I think both.
Little bit of both.
Yeah, pure. Yeah.
I also had on the flip side of that sentimental story, one of my ex-bosses, he was telling us the story of his daughter when she was young. He told her, okay, it's time for bed. And then she went, not yet, daddy. The old woman is still on the ceiling. And he was like,
oh my God.
If this is her ploy not to go to bed, it's a great
ceiling
ploy.
In her room?
Yeah.
In her room.
Nice.
But that's the kid side of things. Talking about animals, there was, not my cat, but we were having a barbecue one day. Carl, me, and a couple of friends. And while we were barbecuing, a couple of us wanted to go to the washroom. The washroom is quite far away from the barbecue pit. we decided, okay, fine. We'll all go together since, we're all waiting for an opportune time, right? It's all of us. One of my friends, she has this dog, very sweet, very well-behaved dog. So she said, can you bring the dog for a walk since you're going there? I was like, sure, why not? So we head down towards the washroom. A few of my friends are ahead as well. So I'm behind with the dog. And we pass by this tree, and suddenly the dog just goes wild. She's barking and yelping at the tree. And I'm looking and I see nothing. And she runs and she gets off her leash. And at that point, the thing that scared me the most was the dog going missing and my friend killing me. So I leap to grab the dog, and he hears the sound of barking and then boom.
Did you fall?
I literally leapt to the ground to grab the dog, and he turns around and he's got this look on his face like, what the hell are you up to now? And so he comes over, and bear in mind, Carl loves to joke with his dog. He's almost like an anti-Disney princess in that sense, where the animal loves him, but he's like, leave me alone. And it's the first time I heard him go, good girl. And that's what freaked me out. It's like he was being nice to the dog.
Right.
I was like, okay, something must be up if he's being nice to the dog. I messaged him when we got home. It wasn't a squirrel, right? And he didn't reply to me, but I know his thought was, why is this idiot talking to me about this now? Wait till the day. This is honestly just a guess on my part. My guess is that whatever was there was just letting us know, hey, we know y'all do these kind of things. Like y'all tell these stories. We just wanted you to know that we are watching.
Thanks,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah.
Thank
so,
you for
essentially the creepiest fan letter we could possibly get.
Now, as we come to the end, thank
Sure.
you so much for sharing.
No
But
problem, no
if you
problem.
were to bring me on a, experience,
Oh.
right?
Okay.
Which part of Southeast Asia would you bring me to?
Oh.
Which part?
Like if the three of us were to go on an experience to get the best encounter, which country or which part of Southeast Asia would it be? It can even be Singapore.
Thailand.
Thailand.
I think Thailand would be quite fun. I mean, we recently went Bangkok. There's this place called the Saton Tower. It's the Bangkok Ghost Tower. It's an uncompleted high-rise building.
Right.
That is supposedly very haunted. It was supposed to be finished, I think in the early 2000s. Then I think the financial crisis happened,
Yes.
and
And
then they stopped. It was a backdrop of a horror film, so they actually used the abandoned building to shoot the horror film. And I think there was a few people that ended their life at that location, and from then on, the rumor started lah.
There was the one actual reported instance. A Dutch man had ended his life, and it was reported because one of the thrill seekers would sneak into the place, found his body.
And one of the rumors why they said that it's haunted and the owners had such a bad luck was because it casted a shadow on a nearby temple.
Yeah.
Sounds like, this sounds like, like even Orchard Towers, sounds like a...
Yeah, Orchard Tower also got its own
It's
story.
like-
lah.
Lively, definitely.
Yeah, it's lively, but then there's also a lot of like funny happenings. Couple of murders have happened there as well.
Yep,
Right?
yep.
Do you think that's also one of those? No, but they're revamping it now,
Yes.
I guess,
Yeah.
right? Right. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. It's been really. And thank you to our audience for tuning into this episode of Open House. Remember, for every question you have, there's a guest out there with the answers. Now, if you want to see more of our guests on Open House, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on our socials for more updates. And of course, leave suggestions to other guests that you want to see on Open House. And wishing everyone a happy Halloween.
But we have one more
By the
thing.
way, we have
Yeah.
a confession. You remember the knocking?
And his living room.
It's somewhat
Should
upstairs.
I pause?
Yeah.
Is it?
And a group of teenagers.
It's you guys. We wanted to let you all live with a peace of mind. It was a prank.
Well done. Why you never do it immediately?